you guys ready to talk about muscles? Heck yeah, right? And my name is Chris Mangano, and I help guys like myself who are in their 40s, 50s, or 60s build muscle, burn fat, and get ripped. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, bringing you tons of content like this to help you do just that. So yeah, today I'm going to talk about muscles, but I'm going to get kind of nerdy on you, okay? Because I'm going to talk about muscle fibers. And if you're not aware, if you didn't know, your muscles have two types of fibers. They have a type 1 and a type 2 fiber. Now, technically, the type 2 fiber actually has two different fibers, an X and an A fiber, but we're only going to talk about the A fiber today because we can't really do anything about the X fiber anyway, so it doesn't really pertain when we're talking about building muscle. So for the purpose of this video, we're talking about type 1 and type 2A. So I don't want anybody like leaving comments below saying like, there's two different types of type 2 fibers. Yeah, I know, but I don't want to like, bore you to death with nerdiness here. So anyways, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the different fibers and how we can attack each fiber, or what fiber maybe we want to really focus on to help build, a leaner, more aesthetic physique. So let's start with the type 1 fibers. Type 1 fibers are your endurance fibers, your long distance fibers. So if you think about like a marathon runner, they're going to have a higher percentage of type 1 fibers than type 2 fibers. Now they'll still have some type 2 fibers. We all have some type 1 and some type 2. Now some people have more of one, some people have more of two, but we all have both, no matter what type of person you are, what type of sports you might play, or what you're better at. But type 1 is your long distance fibers, your endurance fibers. And these are the fibers like that a marathon runner is going to have more of than the type 2 fibers. So if our type 1 fibers are the endurance fibers, then our type 2s are obviously the explosive fibers, the power fibers, right? These are the short burst, explosive power fibers. If you think about a sprinter, like a 100-meter sprinter, a short distance sprinter, they're going to have a lot of type 2 fibers. Or you think about a football player, they're going to have a lot of type 2 fibers, right? Short, explosive, power activities. Anybody who does a lot of that is going to have more type 2 than type 1 fibers. So now, knowing what each type of fiber does, which one is better for building muscle? And obviously, it should be pretty obvious to you when you think about an endurance athlete and a power athlete, type 2 fibers are better for building muscle. They tend to gain muscle at about a 5 to 7% greater rate than the type 1 fibers. They also let you, be more explosive, which means you can lift heavier weight. And as I think I talk about this pretty much in every single video I've ever done. Maybe not every one, but every video it feels like lately. You want to be lifting heavier and heavier weight if your goal is to build muscle. So yes, type 2 are the ones we want to target more than the type 1 fibers. Now, you can't just target 100% exclusively type 2 or 100% exclusively type 1, but you can target one more than the other. So how do we do that? Well, obviously, if we're trying to target the type 2 fibers, we need to do heavier weights, more explosive lifting, because the thing is, our body actually naturally wants to use the type 1 fibers. That's what it wants to default to. So let's say you're doing a bench press. When you are starting to unrack the weight, your body's first reaction or first instinct is to use the type 1 endurance fibers. But if the weight's heavy enough and you're lifting explosively enough, your body will quickly switch to type 2 fibers and start using those because it has to, right? The type 1 fibers can't lift the heavy explosive weight. It needs lighter, slower weights, which is why I talked about in my Don't Do Slow Reps video, which you can watch right here when you're done watching this one, why slow reps suck, because you hit the type 1 fibers. So that's why you need to be lifting heavier weight and you need to be lifting more explosively. And I talked about that a lot in this video here, so check that out when you're done with this one. So now that we know that we want to target the type 2 fibers, and we know how to target the type 2 fibers, let's talk about what we can do if we have more of the type 1 fibers. So if you're a guy who's always been better at long distance stuff, right? So growing up, and even to this day, I have always sucked when it came to distance. I was never good at running long distances. I was never good at swimming long distances. I was never really good at anything that required me to do it for a long period of time. I would get tired very quickly. My muscles would fatigue very quickly. But if you asked me to do something explosive, I was very good at it. In fact, even up into my mid-30s, I had a 36-inch vertical jump. and I'll try to dig up that video one day maybe to show you guys, but I have a video of me actually on the vertical jump thing doing a 36-inch vertical jump. And if you don't know, if you've never paid attention to like the NFL Combine, that would put me at a very elite level when it comes to vertical jump. Now I'm not saying I'm not an elite football player. I would get destroyed on the football field. I'm just saying I have a higher percentage of the explosive type 2 fibers. But some of you guys probably have a higher percentage of the type 1 fibers, especially if you haven't been working out in a long time. You have a very high percentage of the type 1 fibers and a much lower percentage of the type 2 fibers. Now, you cannot change your percentage, right? So if you were born, if you grew up and you were always better at endurance type events, you probably have more type 1 fibers than type 2 fibers. That's okay. You can't change the amount you have. But what you can do is develop the type 2 fibers to become, stronger and more useful than the type 1 fibers. So even if you grew up, an endurance type, you can switch that to become more of a type 2 type, and that's what you want to do. And you do that again by training the right way, doing more explosive stuff, doing more heavier weights. If you don't have bad knees or hips or hamstring problems, which you gotta be careful for at our age, trust me, easy to pull hamstrings at our age, but you can do sprints or you can do jumping stuff. But again, I don't necessarily recommend that at our age, but if you're healthy enough to feel like you could do it, you can do that too. That will help develop those type 2 fibers. So start focusing more on the explosive type 2 muscle fibers and develop those to where those become the prominent muscle fibers your body uses, and you'll start to notice you change. You start to develop this more athletic, jacked type look, like more of a sprinter look or a football player look rather than an endurance runner look. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment below and let me know, what do you think? Are you more of a type 1 guy or more of a type 2 guy? What do you think you naturally are? Comment below and let me know. And regardless of which you are, let's get you more of a type 2 guy, right? Also, make sure if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow, helps me reach more guys just like yourself, so I can help all you men out there keep it real, let you know what it really takes to build muscle, burn fat, and get ripped. Keeping it real here, right? So again, I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, hit that like button, and I'll see you guys next time.